Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a celebration video because you may have seen in the news that Breville have taken over Chef Steps, which to me is great news because I love Breville, or Sage as it's known in the UK, and I also love Chef Steps. Two of my favourite companies have came together and I just think that's absolutely amazing. So to celebrate this, I'm going to be making my favourite recipe that uses Jewel by Chef Steps, and it also uses the Boss by Sage with the new vac Q attachment. We'll go into that in a minute. So this recipe is amazing. It's like a parfait recipe and I've made it a few times. It always goes down a storm, so I'm going to crack on and make that. The ingredients to make this, there's quite a few of them. There's a few specialist ones, but nothing too hard to get. So to begin with, there's 500 grams of chicken livers. There's an alcohol mixture, which I use the Chef Steps recipe, but I deviate slightly because there's a lot of alcohols that you could only really use in one thing. So I use 50 grams of brandy, 125 grams of extra dry vermouth, and 125 grams of port, and that just mixes in here. Next up, there's 200 grams of clarified butter. I made this a while ago. You just basically heat up some butter and remove the solids, stick it in a jar, and it'll keep basically forever. So I'm going to melt that before I use that. There's 100 grams of diced bacon. That's just normal smoked back bacon. And here I've got 200 grams of diced white onion and 50 grams of diced shallots and 4 eggs. Then there's some dry ingredients as well. There's 15 grams of fine sea salt, half a gram of coarse ground black pepper, 2.5 grams of Instacure number 1. This is a pink curing salt. It's also known as Prague powder. Pretty easy to find. I think a lot of butchers use this, and this just basically gives the patty its pink colour. This is pretty much an optional ingredient, but it does make it look a bit more attractive. And finally, 0.8 grams of sweet spice. Now this is a Chef Steps recipe that you can find on their website, and it's just basically ground up spices you put in a spice grinder. That gives you a quantity that makes about 200 grams, and you only need 0.8. So once you've made it once, you can make this patty 100 times and you'll still have plenty left over. So what I'm going to be doing first is I'm going to be sauteing off the shallots, onions and bacon. Then I'm going to add the alcohol mixture to that and just create the base for this. So I've got a cast iron pan on the hob heating just now, and to that I'm just going to add a bit of oil and just let that heat up. Pan's been heating for a couple of minutes now, so it should be nearly there. So I'm going to add my onions and my shallots first. This is just in a medium heat. I don't want to brown anything here. I just want to get everything translucent. I'm just going to make that even. And then I'm going to add in my bacon. So I'll just mix that together. So now that everything's nice and soft and translucent, I'm going to add the alcohol mixture and just boil that off for a few minutes. So now that that mixture's infused, I'm going to sieve out the onions, the shallots and the bacon, and I'm going to keep the remaining liquid to use in my patty. I've been using cast iron, so this pan's going to be very hot, so I'm going to be using oven gloves to move it. Now attempting to pour this in here without it going everywhere. So I need about 250 grams of this liquid, and basically what I'm going to do is just keep squeezing this onion mixture just until I extract the right amount of liquid. Pan's very, very heavy, so I'm just going to be doing this in stages and then discarding this mixture. So after a bit of squeezing, I've ended up with about 200 mils. So what I'm going to do is just add an extra splash of port and add this extra splash of vermouth just to make it up to about 250 mils. That's spot on. The next stage is to add most of the ingredients to the blender, apart from the clarified butter. So I'm going to just do that now. I'm going to add in the 500 grams of chicken livers. We're going to add in our alcohol mixture. 4 eggs. And finally our dry ingredients. So 1/2 gram of black pepper, 2.5 grams of Prague powder or curing salt number 1, .8 grams of Chef Step sweet spice mix, and finally 15 grams of fine sea salt. So I'm just going to put the lid on the blender. So before I blend, I'm going to be using Sage's new vacuum attachment. Now this creates a vacuum in the blender and it will save a lot of air bubbles, because what will happen is when this gets blended it's going to introduce a lot of air. I've had this before, and if you get too much air into this patty it becomes like a mousse, and it's a nice taste but it's not an enjoyable texture. So I'm going to be trying this to see if I can reduce the air in the patty. There are other ways of doing it, removing the air after it's been blended. You can use a vacuum chamber, you can keep sieving it. All of them take a lot of time and generally create a lot of mess. So hopefully this is going to solve this issue. So this is just an alternative lid for the blender. This is actually for the new Super Q blender, but it also fits on the older Boss that I have. So it just fits on the lid, and then this pump goes on and removes the air from the jug. So that'll take about 30 seconds to remove the air and it'll automatically stop. Now that that's finished removing all the air from the jug, I'm just going to remove it. It just sits on top, it doesn't lock or anything. And I'm going to blend until this becomes nice and fine. So I just blended that for 50 seconds at about speed 7, and it looks as if it's nice and well blended. Doesn't look as if there's too much air been added to it as well, which is always a bonus. So I'm going to press this button to release the air back in, and you can see the air bubbles popping, which means it's done its job. The next stage is to add clarified butter. I'm going to have to heat this up. I'm just going to microwave this until it forms a kind of warm liquid, and then I'm going to try and add this in, pull a vacuum and then blend. You would generally do it as a stream to try and emulsify it, but I think this blender's powerful enough that it's actually this is going to work. So I'm going to try that. I'm just going to go and heat this up in the microwave until it forms a liquid. So my clarified butter's heated, and I'm just going to put this in. I'm just going to put it in one and see what happens. So as I pour it in, I'm going to put the lid back on. I've gave this a wipe with a cloth, just so it makes sure that nothing gets sucked up into the vacuum pump. I'm just going to pull a quick vacuum again. So now that I've pulled the vacuum, I'm just going to blend this and see if I can get it to emulsify. So that's looking good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove the last of the air from this. I'm just going to take off the lid and just give it a quick clean. And pop it back on. I'm just going to pull a couple of vacuums on the jug just to get rid of all those air bubbles. So after pulling a few vacuums in this, I'm pretty happy that most of the air's out, so I'm just going to release the vacuum. And that's by far the easiest way that I've found to take the air out of this mixture. This has been so much easier than using a vacuum chamber or sieving again and again. So the next step is just to sieve this just into a jug just to get it ready to pour. Remove any of the wee solids and we'll stick it in these mason jars. Just going to pour this into the sieve, into this jug, very slowly just to stop producing any excess air. And the sieve should take care of any of the air bubbles that are at the top. So it's quite important to work quick at this stage. You need to get the mason jars filled up and just leave a bit of a gap for air at the top because they'll need to expand when they're in the water bath. So again, pouring really slow, Stop adding any excess air into here. I usually just fill it up till just about the shoulder. So I'm just going to fill up the rest of the jars. So I've managed to get 7 jars of Pate out of this recipe, which is really good because they last a while. They last about a week in the fridge, so I can give some away to family and friends and also keep a few for myself. So the next step is to put the lids on these. You don't want to tighten them up because they could crack under the water bath. So they go on finger tight. So the first thing, the lid goes on and then the ring goes on and just screws, just fingertip tight. Just, it should be fairly loose. You'll see when it goes in the water bath that there'll be some bubbles come out and it just lets the air escape. So I'm going to put the lid on the rest of these and then we'll start the water bath and get them in there. I've just filled up my polycarbonate container with water. I just use a Rubbermaid 10-12 litre container for Jill and it's absolutely perfect for most things. Anything else I'll use a bigger container, but this seems to be a good size and it heats up really quickly. So currently the water from my tap, I've just put hot tap water in this and it's 38 degrees Celsius. So I'm going to be setting this for 68 degrees Celsius or 154 Fahrenheit. And I've just programmed that into that and I'm just going to click start. And that's going to take about 10 minutes probably to heat up, so we'll come back when it's done that. So Joe came up to temperature, took 16 minutes to go from 38 Celsius up to 68, so that was very quick. About 2 degrees a minute for 10 litres of water roughly, which is pretty good. I've just put these in. There's air bubbles coming from around the rim. That's exactly what we want. That means we've not put the cap on too tight, we've not put it on too loose that it's going to let water in. So these are going to cook. I've set the timer for an hour and a half. When they're finished, I'm going to take them out. Just going to let them cool at room temperature and then I'm going to pop them in the fridge overnight and we'll see how we go on. Chef Steps recommend putting them in an ice bath, but I'm pretty scared that I crack the jars and these are a weird size to get in the UK, so I had to import them from the US, which cost a bit of money, so I'm not going to risk cracking them in an ice bath, and I've done this before at room temperature and it works absolutely fine. So we're going to come back tomorrow and just see how we got on, see if we can manage to get all the air out and just see what the pie tastes like. So it's still the same day and I now have Pate. I get a bit impatient and I waited until they cooled down to room temperature and then I put them in an ice bath just to speed up the process. Just use the same Rubbermaid container, just filled with water and ice. And I left them in there for a few hours and I checked one earlier and it seems like they've set, so I'm gonna get ready to enjoy this. So you take the lid off, the sealed lid will come off. It takes a bit of force sometimes because it's sealed on and it'll probably look quite brown. There's an oxidised layer on the top. You can just scrape this off. It's just the same as any other Pate, just because it's been exposed to oxygen. You can get rid of this by putting it in a vacuum chamber first and that will seal it, but that's an absolute pain and I can deal with a bit of a brown layer. So the way Chef Steps say to enjoy this is best with honey and rock salt. Bear with me, I thought the same, but it is incredible. So I'm just going to make up one of those and just try it now. I'm just first going to remove this oxidised layer and you can see that the Pate is nice and pink underneath. There's nothing wrong with eating this oxidised layer, but it's just not very appealing. I'm going to take my oat cake and that's a great consistency. It's nice and paste-like, it's not moussey, but it's not too dense. So I'm just going to spoon a big load of that onto this oat cake. Top it with a bit of honey. And finally drizzle on a bit of rock salt. I'm using Maldon salt. So that is how to make my all-time favourite Pate recipe using the Boss by Sage and Jill by Chef Steps. So good. Thanks for watching and please click like and subscribe.